All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit more about the UI today, UI layout. Okay, if you remember, this is what we built last time. Particularly, I was trying to tell you that even though the UI layout looks complicated, even though Flutter do give you a lot of options, you could manage most of the layout with very simple approaches with one or two kind of layout. That's it. So let's stick with those simple ones and then focus on making your app work. Later on, you can realize and you use more advanced or convenient layout for specific applications, right? So last time I was mainly talking about this column layout. All right, column, is corresponding to the linear layout, vertical linear layout in Android, if you're familiar with Android. Basically, everything you put here will be placed one after another vertically, right? So if you look at the code, all right, go back to this class, and I use this column here, and then the column has a lot of children. Every children, there is a text, and then input box, and then two input boxes. And then also we got two flat buttons. So that's what you see here. They're all aligned here vertically. That's how the column works. And then, but then you see they take different spaces. The reason is, I told you we gave different weight. I particularly told you this approach last time, all right? So you know how to align those vertically, that's step one, but you then have to manage all the margin, all the space, everything. The most typical use approach is to rely on the width, because width has this really nice feature that it doesn't hard code any of the dimension. It doesn't hard code height 100, width is 200. Because if you hard code things, it will not scale very well across different screens, different sizes. So if you use a weight, if you use a portion, percentage, then that solves the problem completely. So this is an example here. Let's review it. So this one here, the text, this one take 3, a weight of 3. This one take 1. This one take 2, and then this two take 1. This one 1 and 2. So at the end, so the Flutter will look at all these numbers and then add them together. So it's kind of then split the portion based on the number you have, right? So that's why you see, this guy here actually take a lot of space because you gave them 3, and then this one take 1. This one is 2, and then this one is 1 and 2. All right. So last time, I forgot one of you, okay, point out a really good tool to me from here. So if you open this one here, there is a very good helper, show debug paint, refresh. Which one? Which one? Base paint? Yeah. This one, right? No. This one? All right, so let's see. Yeah, perfect. Thanks a lot. So this one here, you can see it actually shows you the exact space it takes, right? So this first text takes 3, like 3 to 1. That's pretty much the ratio. Okay, so this part here takes 2, and then this one is 1, and finally this is 2. All right, so use this tool to help. I think it should also be available in Android. For some reason, my Android emulator is broken. I'll just stick to the OS. All right, so that's how the column works. At the same time, you can also do rows. Okay, for rows, it's going to line your items horizontally, right? So for example, let's change this one. Okay, here you have email and password. What if I want to say, okay, there is an email text. Okay, so this line is a little annoying. Let me close it for now. Okay, what if I want to see the email here on the left and then the email box, or password on the left and then password box? So you want to add a text here. So what I can do is I go back to here. So if you see, I have my text field here. Okay, so I'm going to add a text to say email, and then I will do another text to say password. And then refresh, go back, email, password, and box below it, right? So if I do this way, it's still being aligned vertically because everything right now is within a column, as you can see, right there, column. So, but what I want is to place them horizontally. So in this case, very easy. You could just group this two in something called a row. Okay, and row works exactly the same way as column. Different is going to put everything one by one in sequence horizontally. So I'm going to create a row. All right, and then just be careful about all the syntax. Okay, row has multiple elements, so that's why you have something called children. always use the auto completion, because like this one, it need a list of widget, and then you might not remember how to write this syntax, but use the auto completion to do this one. All right, and then get this ready very quickly. All right, and then let's just move on this to here into the children. Don't forget about the comma here. All right, whenever you're done, remember right click, reformat the code, because very quickly, if you don't do it, your code will be very, very messy. Okay, so let me stop this one here. All right, I'm gonna refresh, and it looks like something is broken. All right, so this one, I had this issue before. Whenever this one happens in the beginning, you will see a lot of these errors. And I like this one, the first time I see it also cost me some time. But the good thing is they actually gave a very decent explanation. So if you try to read this one, okay, it happens. And you can something about this input decorator. As you can see, you use this input decorator here for the input box. So it cannot have an unbounded width. Okay, so it sounds like you can't really have no control on the width, something like that. And then they give you all these examples, all the widths must be constrained, all of this. It looks like you got to have some kind of a size for the input box. So my understanding is initially, the input box, if you put it in a column, that's okay. The whole row is yours. Okay, you just take whatever space you want and just fill up the whole screen. But now you add one extra text here. So that's going to cause some problem, because this is going to take some space, and then this one you don't specify how much width you have, and that causes some kind of conflicts. Okay, so once you go and test, you probably will figure out the reason, and then to fix it, you can just give some kind of width. All right. So as I showed you last time, in the different ways, you could just give a hard-coded width, or I can still use some kind of ratio, which is weight, then use the expanded. All right, so let's add expanded to all of those to see if that fixes it. Okay, so I can add expand to this text field. Right now it's independent, so I'm going to do expanded. All right, remember it always had a child, and then I'm going to move this one here. Refresh, looks like it fixed the issue. All right, that's what happened. So basically now you tell this input box, okay, you could take as much space you want. So that's called constraint. So you cannot have an input box without a constraint. All right, now I solved this problem, and the email stayed here. As you can see, this time they're aligned horizontally because you use this thing called a row. All right, it works in the same way as column. You can also have a weight. And so let me try it. So if I do this expand, child, I put text here. Okay, let me ask you a question. If I do this, guys, what's going to happen? So I got a two expanded, I have this text expanded, text field expanded. They're both in the row. What's going to look like? Anyone? Previously, this guy got expanded, take whole space, and then leave just a little bit of space for the text. But now I put the text also expanded. What's going to happen? 50-50, right? Because you didn't give the row, you didn't give the weight. That's why they're going to equally split the space. All right, it's about the weight. Same again. So if I don't want to do that, you need to give specific weight. Okay, this guy, you take 25%, you take 75%. Okay, you do 1 and 3, and then you refresh it. That's what it looks like. All right. And then the email, okay, so this text is on the left, so you got to align it to the right. There's a different way to do it. The easy way probably is just to align text. For the text alignment, so you could do the align, comma, and then align, text align, and you can do the right, something like this. Again, all of this, you don't have to remember anything. Just use the auto completion to help you. So you align the text to the right because you have the space, so this one here goes a little bit to the right. And then you might think, okay, this thing here doesn't look good. I don't want that long. Maybe just a little bit less. All right. So that means you got to add a little bit space to the right. Okay. Again, there are multiple ways to do it, but I want to introduce that whenever you want to add extra space, it's most of the time called a margin. Okay. in the mobile UI or in any kind of a UI, you need to understand this concept, okay? Margin and padding. So margin means that the space between outside of your widget. For example, this is not a very good. Okay, so basically, let's look at that border, the top image there, the red part. Okay, the red border, let's say that's basically the border for your button, for your input box, okay? When we talk about the margin, it actually means the space outside of that border. You want to increase margin, the outside space will get bigger. It's going to shrink your widget. But when we talk of padding, padding means the inside. Okay, so as you can see, the border inside, you have some kind of a text content there. If you add the padding, it's going to make internal space bigger or smaller. So that's the difference. But we'll see that from an example. Let's add some margin. So because what I wanted to do now is I want to shrink this little input box to the left. Okay, so you always need to set a margin and padding. So in Flutter, I already showed you, okay, you're going to apply this thing called container to do it. This is the thing that I don't think it's as good as Android, because in Android, you can do margin and padding for any kind of widget directly. You can just right here type margin and then specify. I think that makes more sense. However, Flutter, they don't take this way. You have to wrap it with a container. Okay, so just watch me how to do it. So container, it's just like expanded. It takes one child. So you basically go here. Okay, I'm going to create a container. All right, container has a child. And then I'm going to put this one here and move it inside. So it's always use this kind of wrap approach. Okay, now if I refresh the screen, nothing changed because I didn't apply anything in the container. But container allows you to do different things. It allows you to do, for example, you can just specify the width, hard coded thing. I would say 100. If I do 100 and I refresh it, didn't change it, probably 100 too much. So if I do 50. Oh, sorry, I was actually doing the container for the text, but it doesn't matter. I can leave it there. Okay, I was supposed to do this one here. Okay, I will do this one here. I'll do a container child. Yeah, this syntax here, not very good, but if you just careful enough, you'll get used to it. Okay. All right, so this is the container, and then the container can do a width. For example, I do 70. Or maybe it's conflict with the expanded, I guess. So that part I can't explain right now, but I could try to add some margin. Okay, let's forget about this one. I'll do the margin first. For margin, they actually use this thing called edge insets. So for example, if I do a margin for all edges, okay, I can use this one. I will say every part add like 30 units of margin. I'm going to refresh it. So as you can see, this one here got a little bit space. The right-hand side here got a little bit space. If you compare this one with that one, previously the edge was here, and now you add 30 margin, and then top same thing, bottom also. Now this one here is wrong because you gave certain amount of height, but because the margin, this guy got pushed down, so it can't really show up completely. So just further will give you this warning. So that means I don't need a margin to the bottom. I just need a margin maybe on the left and right. So I can treat it a different way. I can say, okay, margin edges only for right 30. So I'll just do this one. So if I refresh my page, as you can see, everything don't have margin except on the right-hand side. If I also want to add something to the left, I can also write left 20. And there's a little bit of margin here on the 20. Okay. So this is how you specify margin for your, for your widget. So you have to wrap it with a container and then apply this attribute. Yes. I haven't looked into it. I actually I don't know. So let's Google it. But in Android, there are different. You have to do with different units like PX or DP. I think DP is like density pixel, something like that. But for now, this one I actually haven't looked into it. We can Google it. So the number of device pixels for each logical pixel. So it looks like they're using a logical pixel. Yeah. So as you can see, this is a kind of basically that's their own unit. So like 38 logical pixel equal to a centimeter, something like that. All right. So look into a little bit more. So I guess they use this same thing as Android called DP. So this pixel is already taking care of the different sizes pixel called different screens. So that means it's not an absolute pixel length. It's depend on the actual screen. Some screen might be pixel bigger, some might be smaller. So there is some kind of a kind of adaptive feature. Okay, but again, you can't just rely on the pixel number. Even it's adaptive, you can't rely on that one to give you a same size of the screen. Okay, look at more documentation, but that's what they use. In Android, it's different. Android they use specifically. You want to do the absolute pixel or density kind of a pixel or something like that. All right. All right. So container, that's another thing you should know. All right. So with that, I kind of finished all the things I want to tell you. Okay. Container you can do width, height, and then some margin and padding. We'll talk about padding in the future when we need that. But with these ones that we gave you, all right, it's already powerful enough, I would say, to make probably all of your UIs. Okay, if you have column, if you have a row, and then when you need to do the weight, you add expanded. When you need to specify specific margin or hardcode some of the heights and weights, you wrap it with container. Just use this for weapons. You're good to go. Okay, I can tell you this one because in Android, eventually what we did was all linear layout. It works really, really well. You don't really need to go to the fancy one like grid view. Grid view pretty much just column and plus rows. Yes, it's simpler, but for now you don't have to learn too many because the more you learn, the more confused you will be. But if you just focus on all of this, and then you'll be very familiar with all these issues, the properties, how to make certain things work, that's okay. Nobody's gonna judge you if you're using the best practice or the simplest way. That's fine. Later on, you know more, that's fine. You can improve your code and the structure. Okay, these are very, very powerful. So if you don't believe that, let me show you some examples. Okay. Whenever we do the UI implementation, all right, try to remember, follow this top-down kind of a design approach. Whatever UI you see in your mind, you have to be able to visualize with all these columns and rows first. And also you have to visualize the big portion first. A lot of things going on the screen. So how many portions do I need? Vertical or row? And each portion, what's the weight? And then you dive into each portion and then to just decide, should I use another vertical or horizontal, and then what's the weight? You can always break down your screen into columns and rows, okay? That's why in the early days, I don't know if you guys had this kind of experience. Now you guys all use, for example, when you build a website, you use CSS. Very rarely you're gonna write your own CSS, and most of the time you're using this thing called Bootstrap, right? So if you're familiar with Bootstrap, they use this grid system, just like a table. So you specify column number, that specify how much space it takes. But you didn't know in the early days, I'm talking about maybe around 2000, okay? When I was in college, I wasn't in college at that time, but I know the web development. People build websites by having a giant table. So in HTML, you can have this table tag. So the whole website is normally a table, even though they make the table invisible, but it's always rows and columns because table give you this perfect way for you to manage all the elements. Okay, You can have a higher rows, like shorter rows. You can have wider columns. You can control different number of cells. You can merge cells. Table is very, very powerful. So Bootstrap still use this table idea. It just they make it much more flexible for you to use. All right. So same thing here. That's why I told you column and rows are really, really powerful enough, and you can do really a lot of complicated things like this. Okay. So let's show you an example. I don't think this is still a latest UI. I was just Googling the UI from the app. Okay. How many of you are using it? Okay, that means everyone's using it. Okay, so pretty successful company. I think it was acquired. Okay, the company was acquired by Match.com. Okay, so it's all this dating website. Pretty good successful startup. Very simple and nice UI. So let's take a look at how you make this one. Okay, I would say the left screen probably the most complicated if you look at this one. All right, but to really make just a UI, it's not really that difficult. All right, so I want to show you the step-by-step. What do I mean by top-down implementation? Okay, we focus on the left one, okay, which shows this profile page where you can swap. We're not going to do all the swap feature. That's more about the code. We just focus on how do we implement that UI. All right, so if you look at the left-hand side, okay, how many parts do you have for this screen? Highest level. 3, right? So you got a top bar, you got a middle part which has the profile information, and the bottom you got some buttons for you to use. Okay, highest level there should be 3. Are they horizontal or vertical? This no, sorry, I'm talking about these 3 parts for this screen. Vertical, right? So top to down, and then bar in the middle, profile, bottom, you got the buttons. So that is a column. All right, column, 3 parts with weight, because I don't think whenever you swap, I don't think the size of the picture is gonna be changed. This one should always be this size, right? No matter how big your picture is, I should always have that bar and the buttons fixed size. So that's why you need a weight. So when you look at the screen in your mind, okay, later on you don't have to do this anymore. You should be very quickly able to form something like this, okay? All right, so that's your screen. And then I got some different components here. Highest level, okay, start with highest level. So that's my bar, top bar. And then this one here is the profile part, finally. This is the buttons. All right, that's it. So this is a perfect column use case. All right, so here, but then you have to give some weight because I told you this one you have to fix the size. So maybe if this one take 10%, this one maybe 25. Okay, this one give 65. All right, let's just try that and see how it looks. All right, so let's implement it. Very easy. All right, so let's go back to the code. I'm gonna create a new class here. Okay, let me open a new code. So, so I'm gonna back up this one to here. And then I will delete this one here, start from scratch. All right, it's empty right now, okay? And then you can leave the bar or not. I don't have to use the bar. If you don't use the bar, it just looks like this. Okay, maybe we'll start with this. Okay, it's even simpler. Okay. All right, start from here. Okay, totally empty screen. I mentioned I need a column, so I build a column here. I wrap it with center. Not sure if let's just start without it. Okay, that's not even center. Let's see how to make it work. All right, column. And you got the list of widgets. That's how it works. All right. That's not really good, but let's do with this. All right, so refresh one more time. Nothing happened. Okay, so let's start to put our components inside. All right. Now these three are the big components, but then they're not really visible. What's really visible is the actual content. Like here in the bar, you got a little icon, another icon. This may be an image or text, doesn't matter. We can use the text to show all of this, right? So let's talk about this part here, okay? If you got these three elements, three widgets here, two icons, one text in the middle, how are you gonna lay out them? Are they, again, my question is vertical or horizontal? Horizontal, right? So that means this part here should be a kind of a row, okay? So that's why I'm gonna put this one here. Okay, that's the first one. How about this middle part here? Profile, picture, and then bunch of the text, a little icon, number, all of this. Column and row, very good, okay. It's still a column first because, you know, image top and then this part here on the bottom. This part here, you can still break it down, but let's not worry too much. But looks like a better way to organize this is column. So, column. All right, and then finally, this is easy, another row, right? Because three lines horizontally. All right, I refresh. And then let's try to show to see if we can see anything here, okay? And doesn't make much sense because you didn't specify anything, okay? So the first thing we need to do is, I told you, we gotta give the actual weight in the beginning so that you can control every part how much space you have. Let's use the weight, 10%, 65%, and 25%. So to apply weight, you gotta do expanded, all right? Same thing as I showed you. All right, this one is expanded. I can just copy and paste this whole thing for this one. And also this one, I just will replace that with column. All right, so I got expanded rows, column, and row. Let's refresh, see what happens. All right, did you see it? Here is a column. Here is, oh, sorry. I can't tell. I don't know how to explain this. Okay, don't worry about it. Let's give it a weight first. Okay, so I talk about a weight. Okay, this guy got 10%, and then the second one got 65, and finally this one got 25. 25. Refresh. Okay, so it makes more sense, right? You can see 10%. I don't know why they give a split here. This I can't explain, but finally this is 25%. Okay, let's play around with it. What if I gave like a little bit more here? If I do 20, does that change it? Yeah, you can see it changes. So that I can show you how much space you have. Okay, so let's go back to 10. I think 10 is a good number. Okay, something like this. All right, so that's called top-down implementation. You go from the top containers. If you fix this one, and then you just work on every little container, just makes it work. The rest are actually pretty simple. Let's go here. I told you, you need an icon. You need a text. You need another icon. So I think Flutter, you can do image. You can also do an icon, something like that, okay? I tried this before, something like this, okay? Very easy. You got this icon thing here. Let's copy it over. I got an icon here. This is just the label. And then you can do the favorite icon, the color, the size. So let me refresh. All right, so little icon here shows up. Okay, I think the 10% means this whole part. Okay, not just that part. I think it's all the whole part, you know, to the top of the screen. Okay, And then if you change the size to be, 48, a little bit bigger. All right, so let's do that way. And then I need another icon. And I need a text. All right, so that's what it looks like. 2 icons and 1 text in the middle. So because this is a row, so they're just placed one after another. And then you need to work on the layout again. All right, so let's go back, see the design. Okay, the design said that this two had to stay to the end where the text takes the middle space and then be centered. How are you going to make that work? Yeah, there's no this kind of approach that you can just say left and right, that's it. Okay, so it's in Android you can do that. There's some kind of layout allows you to do that. There might be this way, but just use what we have learned. We talk about a row. How do you control the space so that they can be something like this? Flags, yeah. You still apply weight, right? Because right now the problem is you don't have any weight. They're just default. Gave them the space, whatever you need. But what if I give a lot of weight to the middle? And then it's going to take the whole space, right? Let's see it. So if I go here to try it, if I expand it, refresh. All right. So we let the text to take the whole space. So this guy will automatically be placed to the end. All right. And then all you need to work on is just to center this one. Okay, to center that for the text, very simple. I told you, you can just do text and line and then just do center. And then you've got this one. All right. You can also wrap this one with a center class, just as the one we normally see here in the sample class. That's going to work. All right. And then you might say, oh, I don't want this guy to touch this here so closely. Okay, 2 approaches. One, you can add some weight. You can say, okay, this icon should take a little bit of weight rather than being, just giving the minimum. Or you can always add some margin. Okay, so let's try margin. So for the icon, I'm going to do add some margin. Remember, container, child. And then let's do this one here. All right, and then I will do margin. So this one needs margin to the right. Okay, so I will do a edge, right, 30. All right, so you got a margin. 30 a little bit too much, maybe 20. Okay, and then let me just copy the whole thing for the other one. This one needs a left. Refresh. Looks like, oh wait, I didn't. Refresh. We got this one. All right, and then let's just change it to have a different icon. You got a favorite. They got a lot of icon for you to use. Just question, answer. All right, just different icon. The pink doesn't look good, so you can change it to blue or something like this. Okay, so I'm gonna close this one here, and then refresh. Go back. That's just how the bar looks like. And then you need to work on how to make the text bigger, change the color, or just replace that with the image. That's very easy. All right, so you're done with the top bar. So let's move on. Okay, central part, that's the most important piece. We already mentioned there is a column. So the column is vertical. So you got this image here, that's easy, that's just an image, nothing special. And then this part here looks very complicated. It looks like this one contains a lot of other things. All right, so that's fun. Let's actually let's do the image first. So I'm working on here in the middle. I will do a image. So Flutter image. to work on images, okay, you got to bring the images into your app first. This is the part I don't think it has the best way to do it. Instead of just copy paste, you have to actually just specify this one here in the specification. So let's try it. Let's get an image. Allison. All right, so I'm gonna choose Allison. We'll show it smaller images, okay? Okay, so this you're good. Okay, I'm gonna use this one here. Okay, 400 by 400. All right, so here, save the image. All right, once you save it, okay, you gotta import it to your app first. So go here, find on the image, and then put that into one of the folder. Okay, I already created this one here. You can create any folder, but you can name it like assets, something like this. Okay, I'm gonna copy and paste it here. Okay, and then once you've done this, you go to your specification file here. Okay, this file I told you, you have to touch it when you need to add new dependencies, or you gotta have new assets. As you can see, this one here has this part called assets. By default, it's commented. You have to uncomment it, and then put the files here you want to import it. That's the part I don't know why they do this. Okay, it's supposed to just, you know, you put the file there, just include it. But then here, but not really big deal. You have to basically specify Allison.jpg. All right, so then you're done with importing the image, and you can click on this package guide just to make sure things got imported. From there, let's take a look at how the images works. Okay, so images, they use something called this one, image, and then asset image. That's it. All right, so let's try it. So I'll go back to my screen here. So the first one is image. Image has an image attribute, and then there's called asset image. I think that one just to say the actual file name. All right, refresh. All right, so the image right here. All right, pretty simple. Because I already, well, first of all, you got to choose the right image because this is 400 by 400. Okay, so you can, it's perfect. But if not, because you actually can make this size here, the container size already fixed, so it's not going to go too much outside of the space. So that's why the top-down approach, you have to make sure the container size is right first. Of course, later on you can work on the margin and everything. Okay, so that's one thing. Now, probably the most difficult part of this screen is this part here. Okay, what this one is? You're gonna name, age, and then I don't know what it is, friends or gifts, maybe whatever. So 3 little attributes, but then they have icons plus a text. All right, so let me ask you this question. For this whole thing here, what kind of container should we use? What kind of layout should we use? Row, right? Because horizontal. This is one part, this is another. So these 4 things are in a row. So let's go back. Add this row here, children, step 1. And then looks like we got have text. This is, I can just use one text. But this one here has an icon and text. I can't use one widget to do it. I need to use 2. But then these 2 are a column, vertical, because. So that's why we want to add another little column here, another column, another column. Each column will contain an icon and a text. So that's how you can break down the whole thing with different layouts. So if you understand that, this thing is really easy to make. Let me show you. First, in the text. Just make sure everything works. Okay, you got a text here. And then next one, you have this column because you got a 2 little items vertically. Column, children. You need an icon. So we already showed you how to do the icon. right here. This one probably I will do 24. I'll change a different one, just a book, right? And then text. Text is a number, 21. 21 books read. All right, so refresh. So the first text, little icon, and then a little number here. So vertically. And then we use the same approach to add the third one. And then the last one. And then you got this. Right? Very easy. But then this is not what we want because we didn't specify the weight. Because from the high level, this text should take the majority of the space. If you see here, this guy here takes, I think, more than half. So we give that 55%, where the other ones share the rest of the space. Okay, so I'm gonna go to here, expand it. So if you do expand it, refresh, okay, this one takes all the space where the rest split that. But we don't want that to happen, so I give maybe this one take, let's say 60%, okay, it's easy to split. No, 60 is not easy, so 3, maybe they got a 12, so this one got 58. All right, and then the rest, got 12. Okay, I'm gonna copy and paste this. All right, so 58%, 12%, 12%, 12%, that, I think that adds 100, right? Yeah. So that's how it looks like. Of course, you got to work on the space and alignment, right? So Allison here to the left, it's just a little bit of margin. We got to give a little bit of margin here. Okay, so we can work on that. So the margin is adding a container. So container, child, all right, so we add margin, add only to the left. I'll give maybe 40. All right, so let's go to here. 40 a little bit too much. I can just do maybe 20. All right. And then you actually find that this one here should be aligned to the bottom, right? So then let's just figure out how to do that. Probably let's try the text first. Again, use the text align. Do we have bottom? And let's try that. No, that one go to the right. So if you want to align that to the bottom, I don't think I've done that before. All right, so you probably need to use something like this, the axis. Okay, let's try it. So basically you have to draw Flutter, like this in here, which is included in the row, and that maybe here, min axis alignment. And let's try that. Okay, let me delete this one first. Okay, so we need to use the cross. I think that does it. So for the row layout, you could try to specify how all the things inside the row be aligned. So as I told you last time, there is a main axis alignment and a cross-axis alignment. The main axis is for the row. The main axis will be the horizontal row axis. So if you go to start and end, it will be going to left and right. The cross axis is the other axis, so it's up and down. So that's how you can check it. So all of this, just again, you don't have to remember this. Just Google and then look at their example, play around with yours, and then try to understand how it works. Okay. So I do this one here. That looks like pretty much close to what we need. And it doesn't look very good because the size is a little bit small and then there's no margin. So you could apply a margin for the whole thing for all of this one here. Okay, so you could apply a margin for everything for the whole row here, right? So let's try that. So container, child, and then I'm gonna move the whole thing to here. And then I can add this margin. So let's do for all the direction, 20, refresh. As you can see, it looks a little bit better. Okay, so that's how it works. Of course, you can go ahead and adjust all of the little margins and then see how it works. Finally, 3 buttons, pretty easy. So they are just images. So we can Google some images. Basically, you need a like and then dislike information. I'll just pick some random buttons. Okay, so this one here, information. Oh, it's already exists? Okay, yeah, that's okay. I'll just show how to just add this ones. Right. Okay, so whatever you have here, let's copy it over. Remember, put that into the assets folder. And then don't forget to add it here. Okay, so assets, dislike.png. Oops. Okay, I got 3 images. So these are the buttons actually you can click. So I guess there had to be something about like image button. So they will show you this flat button that with image asset that looks simple. Let's try that, see if that works. Okay. So I'm gonna do a flat button, and let's not worry about it on press. We've got some paddings here. This one here, let me add ours. So assets, dislike, refresh. All right, so that's it. That's one button here. But obviously, it shows like this one because the image size is very big, and then you didn't really control the width. But that's okay. Let's just add all of this first. Finally, this one is like. This one is information. Yeah, so something like this. If you don't control it, it's going to use the actual image size. So that's why when you build your images from the professional way, you got to make the size perfect for your to use. Because when you provide a too big size, you're going to waste the actual resource. You have to render those and then download those. But here, let's also specify the weight, okay? Because You can't let them to go without any constraints. Look at these two are bigger, so you can have a split the width first. So this one will have 40%. Yeah, okay, let's do 40, 40, and then 20. So I can do expand it out. This one should be 40. Expand it. $20 and another. $40. All right, refresh. All right, so that's how it looks like. We got 40, 20, 40. The reason it's bigger because the actual image size is bigger. Okay, and then, but then once you control this one, then you could actually just limit the actual image size. I think you can do, yeah, that way you have to probably, again, Google a little bit. So one way you could try is actually to give this button actual size. So I can say that that's probably when you can use a little bit the hard-coded or depending on how big the button is. Let me try this one here. Okay, so I can try container. Let's add this one. And I can give width and height. Let's try that. All right, so that's how you can control it. Because once you give the actual the space, then you could just hard code inside, and depending on what you want to do. So that will become okay. So let me just copy this part here, okay, to use that also for the other one, so that they got the same size. And then this is a different icon. Refresh. Why it looks different? Oh, I know, because you are seeing this whole button the size, but the image wasn't scaled. Okay, so that's I think this issue. So yeah, probably this flat button wasn't really the one we want. Let's do icon button. I think that probably is better. Yeah, let's do icon button. That's probably better. Let's try that one. The icon button even have the size. Okay, so let's try that one. Let me get rid of this one because they actually have icon size, so that's actually good. So if I do this, it's icon button, and you can click. And let's try this one also. All right, I see now they're the same size. Okay, so let's make it bigger. 150, 150, and then the other can also use the icon button. Refresh. That looks weird. What happened? Interesting. It was right. Let's see here. Yeah, so the size is the same, but okay, is that because Okay. Oh, because I still have the heights and weights. Okay. Let me remove that. All right. So the size is not the same, but the image, right? It's mainly about the image size. We gotta figure out a way how to scale the image size. I think the reason because when you specify the icon size to be 100, it's that big, and then this image is bigger than 100. That's why it just automatically take all the space. But this image is very small, so that's why it doesn't really scale it automatically. But when you put it really small, like 50, this one will be scaled down, so it looks the same. So I think that's the reason. But anyway, the easy solution will be to find another image with the same size, so that will be the same, or we just figure out how do we scale the image on top of the button. All right. So let's, for now, okay, I'm just going to use the same one so that it looks nice. All right, so something like this. All right, and then yeah, this is a middle icon here. Yeah, this is a good UI. And finally, you got to figure out how do you align this one to the left? How do you align that one to the right and to the left? So you could, because this is here, and container, I don't know, let's play around with it. Okay, Flutter, align, icon button, align right. Or maybe I would do this, align right in expanded. Okay, so let's see if that works. If this works, it's perfect. So the container has this alignment parameter. So let's try it. So this one, if I do alignment and I use right. Okay, try that one. Nope. Bottom right, center right. Let's do center right. Yep, so that does the job. Okay, so this is also a cool attribute from container. So container, you can do alignment so that this image will go to the left. Sorry, go to the right. And you can do the same thing for here, the last one. Container has this alignment, and then alignment dot center left. Refresh, and it comes here. All right. There's one more issue. I think because the image is not big enough, there's still a lot of empty space here. The reason is you didn't center this whole thing. Okay, so you had to center it. So to center it, this one is the middle part is a column. I think you can do this min axis alignment center. Yep, so that does the job. Okay. All right, as you can see, that's how it works. And then the bottom part, I don't know if it's center. This one is a row, so it should center. Let me open this one again. All right, so you can see this whole part here is centered, and then that part also is centered, everything. So that's how it works. All right, so that's how it works. As you can see, this is not an easy UI. Okay, it looks pretty, a lot of the same things going on. And these ones are even simpler. This one uses a list view. It's a different approach we'll talk about in the future. But anything you can break it down into rows and columns, almost no exception. All right, so that's how it's gonna work. Okay, so for this week, just focus on the UI element. Don't need to worry too much about the code and the logical, because the UI takes some time, especially the syntax, the way they do all the things. Again, the same thing, you can do it in all different ways. As long as you find the way you understand, you can make it work, that's fine, okay? I don't need to dig into the best practice. All right, I will see you on Thursday.